There's this quiet revolution happening in our digital lives. It's a huge shift away from the giant social networks that we've all been using for, over a decade now? And it might just signal the end of social media as we've always known it.
Let me ask you something. Does this sound familiar? You open up an app, you start to scroll, and you just keep scrolling. And when you finally close it, you kind of feel more drained than you did before you opened it. If that hits home, trust me, you are not alone. That exact feeling is what's driving a massive migration that's happening right now under our noses.
So what we're looking at here isn't just some passing trend. It's what some researchers are calling a profound structural fragmentation of our entire online world. Basically, those massive digital town squares where we all used to hang out, they're starting to empty out. The big question is, why?
Think back over the last 15 years or so. The promise was absolutely incredible, right? A totally connected world, all of human knowledge right at our fingertips. But what did the reality turn out to be? Well, our data became the product. The algorithms that control what we see became these mysterious black boxes. We know where information goes in, but we have no clue why that specific rage-inducing post comes out. And the result is this constant, mentally exhausting cognitive overhead. It's that feeling of having to sift through outrage bait, endless ads, and just totally irrelevant content just to find the one thing from a friend you were actually looking for. And so this is really the key takeaway. We are actively making a choice, a trade. We're choosing to walk away from these enormous, and let's be honest, often superficial networks. And instead, we're going out and searching for something smaller, deeper, and way more focused. This isn't just about logging off, though. It's about logging in to somewhere better. It's a deliberate search, a search for shelter from that constant storm of information. It's a real quest for genuine, meaningful connection online. And this right here really gets to the heart of the motivation. This shift isn't being pushed on us by big tech companies. It's described as being driven by user agency. What does that mean? It means it's us. It's the users actively choosing to find a safe harbor, a refuge, to protect ourselves from having our attention and our data bought and sold. So, where are we all going? To these new spaces that are being called fast networks. Now, fast here doesn't mean your internet speed or bandwidth. It means relevance. It's all about the speed of getting valuable information from people you actually trust right when you need it, without having to fight your way through a jungle of ads and algorithmic junk. So when we go looking for these new digital homes, this is pretty much the checklist of what we're after. We want contextual relevance, conversations that are actually about our niche interests. We want authenticated trust, knowing that the people we're talking to are real, not just bots. We're consciously choosing depth, real conversation, over the breadth of having 1,000 superficial likes. And maybe most of all, we just want some insulation from all the noise. Okay, this brings us to the really exciting part, the actual solution that's bubbling up from this whole exodus. We're entering the age of the micro-network. So instead of trying to find a home on some continent-sized platform, we're all just building our own little digital islands. The core concept here is micro-network sovereignty. I know, it's a bit of a mouthful, but the idea behind it is incredibly powerful. It's about having the power, the sovereignty, to create and control your own digital space. You set your own rules, you curate your own members, you define your own culture. You're in charge. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, okay, this all sounds really complicated, something only for developers or huge companies. But here's the thing. The technology has finally caught up with our desire for these private spaces. The barriers that made this so hard before, they're pretty much crumbling down. This new wave of tech is being called a Web 4.0 community infrastructure. And what that really means is it's a toolbox, a set of accessible, easy-to-use tools that let pretty much anyone build their own private network and do it super fast. The research actually points to platforms like LinkedSpreed's Web 4 community as a real-world example of how this is already happening, making it possible to spin up a new community space in just minutes. So the whole process becomes incredibly simple. First, you find your niche, and this could be anything from people who collect vintage synthesizers to urban gardeners in a specific neighborhood. Second, you use these new tools to deploy the infrastructure, which is now just a few clicks. And finally, you curate your community. You invite the right people in to build that culture of trust and shared passion from the ground up. So, what does this all add up to? What does this future actually look like? Well, it's not one single internet dominated by a handful of giants anymore. It's thousands, maybe even millions of tiny, interconnected internets, each with its own purpose. And if you want to see this entire shift in a single image, this chart is it. We are literally witnessing a great displacement. All that time and engagement that used to be on the giant monolithic platforms is fracturing, and it's flowing towards these smaller, specialized micro networks. The one is being replaced by the many.
So if you take one single thing away from this explainer, let it be this. The next era of our digital social lives isn't about being one user in a sea of a billion. It's all about the empowerment of the small, the focused, and the specialized micro-community. But you know, this whole shift leaves us with one final and pretty crucial question to think about. As we all retreat into our perfectly curated, like-minded digital islands, what happens to the common ground? What do we as a society actually lose where the public square fractures into 1,000 private little rooms? That's definitely something to consider.